Welcome to Storm FC TV. This is our third podcast, so we are getting on track and we're doing it once a week. This week, we got another new guest coming with us. This is Joel. Say hello, Joel.
Hi, guys.
So before we go into meeting Joel, whichever way we want to be called, just a recap. Since our last podcast, and thank you for all those that have been watching, have you commented about how you've been liking them, what's been good? We've been having a lot of feedback, the same thing as normal. Some of them are too long, some of them are a little bit too short from the people. That's what they're saying. So don't forget to comment in below and also subscribe to our channel. We've got a lot on our Facebook page, and we do put this on the Facebook page, which is Storm Football, and trying to link back to our Storm FC YouTube channel, our Storm FC TV channel. So please hop over to the YouTube, go to Storm Football, look us up and subscribe to that channel and let everybody else know about it as well. We want these to be as informative, and we want to make sure that we've got you answering all the questions that you want to see. So anyway, from last weekend, we did have a game just this past weekend, and it's going to start ramping up from here on out for the UPSL. The youth teams have got a weekend off this weekend. They played this past weekend. We had some cracking games on, although it was freezing. Sunday was absolutely brutal. It was absolute brass monkeys out there. So I'm glad we got past it. I never had a great day, although my 2010s pulled out the bag for me in the end, and the girls got a nice win for us. So good for them. Unfortunately, 09s and a lot of the others didn't do so well for me. But I went to watch a couple of games with Campus's new 2012 team, and then I think Storm 09 girls. Vosler versus Storm FC 09 girls Campos. They played each other this Sunday, and we hate to see Storm against Storm, but I heard it was a cracking game. I think a last couple of minute win on the Vosler side, so congratulations to Coach Joseph there. So without further ado, we're going to move into this week. We'll get Coach Hector in here a little bit later, but we did have a game this past Sunday. The field was different. Yeah, it was definitely different. I didn't get there quite on time because I was trying to get to. I had the games obviously with the youth side as well to get to on the Saturday, but we had a lot of rain came in on the Friday, I guess that was. So the pitch definitely looked like something we used to play back in the day with 4 lanes back home in England. It was pretty muddy, so most of the boys looked like Bambi on ice. They were all over the place. But so anyway. This is Joel.
Whatever you like it. Whatever they like to call me, but...
We got some other names for that. So Joel is a member, he's an alumni. So he was actually with us on some of our very first teams, the 94 boys team with some real good players back in the day. Ulysses Trejo, Shay,
Johnny,
big Shay, Johnny. Dowboy, actually Dowboy's little girl's playing. I just talked to somebody about his girl just today. Wow. So he's got his daughter playing, I think, in the local soccer association with Ellie. So we have Dowboy, and then we've also got Joe Caballero that's also on our team right now. He's a past player. Mikey Ramonde played a little bit as well. On the team, he played for 94s and the 95s. So we've got a few boys that have come back and they're playing for us as well on the 94 team. So what we're going to do, we're just going to do the same as we did with Angel. We're going to introduce, and he's going to tell a little bit about what he was doing to get to this point. A little bit about the youth side, what it took to go through the youth when he joined Storm, what part of Storm, what was good about Storm, and we'll go through some of that. So Joel, tell us a little bit about when you first started.
Hey guys, well, like Anthony said, I'm Joel Ramirez. Come from my family from South America, so football is in our blood, really. So since I can remember, the first thing that I did was play football with my father and my uncle. So I started off very young playing with.
So how young were you then?
I would say I was either around 4 or 5, and I would be thrown into the mix with the older guys, my uncles and cousins. So never really was afraid to back down.
So was that like pickup games?
Pickup games around family. For those who don't know, my family came from the circus. So they would have what they would call their circus teams, kind of like national teams, like what we see in today's USA, England, Argentina, stuff like that. And so during the summer, when they had their Circus World Cup, they would throw me into the mix, and that's where I started begin to playing. But I never really was able to play, organized soccer until I really came when we moved down to the Red Oak area, and I met some of the friends that you mentioned, Adon, Shay, Joe.
So how old were you then when you moved down to the Red Oak area for organized soccer?
I was in the 6th grade, so I had to be around 12 years old.
Okay.
11, 12 years old.
So that's a little different to what we hear most of our youth players. We get a lot of players that come through our youth now. They've been playing since they were 3. Organised soccer, which something in Storm we don't try and do. We try and have a bit more of a Funda Minis program where they're not in so much organised to let them grow a little bit in there. So what did you find between the organised and the circus street ball that you played before?
It was very difficult. I had to adjust, to formations, to the tactical side of the game, like you said, street soccer, you're anywhere, no rules, you get hacked, you get up, there's no fouls and stuff like that. So I did have to adjust a lot.
Is that where you felt you got your footwork? It's just that free street play?
I think I kind of had to
learn how to stay on your feet?
Yeah, an advice that my dad always told me. He said, never cry, The ones who get knocked down is because they can't get the ball from you. So if you get knocked down, that means you're doing something good. So I kind of took that with me and I ran with it. And then, of course, when I met those friends that I mentioned, they invited me out to a Storm practice, and I enjoyed it. And from there, I can say that my soccer career actually took off, because I went from Storm into some other local clubs. I played high school varsity my 4 years, and then I ended up playing college ball for 3 years until I got
Well, let's
married.
go back to, so who was your coach at Storm? Who was the Storm coach for you back then?
Well, it was started off with you, Anthony.
Oh, wow.
And then I had Jesus.
Coach Jesus Morales.
Coach Jesus Morales for some time. But, everything I learned was thanks to you.
Well, gonna make me blush now, but Coach Jesus did a good job.
He
Now,
did.
on that 94 team, there was a lot of your friends on there. In fact, I think Ulysses, he was from Ferris. Edgar, his brother's playing with us on this team. How many players there played in the Red Oak High School? I think there's probably 9, 10 players, wasn't there?
Probably our whole starting 11.
Yeah.
It was awesome. We were able to create a group during, I think it's the most pivotal moment in a youth player's life, and we were able to create a group and got to carry it on into high school, and it was awesome. Something that sticks out with me was one of the greatest achievements was that we were, I believe, the first Storm, if I'm not mistaken, the first Storm team that got to compete in the qualifying tournament.
Yeah, through the qualifying, actually the second. The 92 boys were the first, but the 94 team was the first one to get in, the most successful. The 95 team got in after that.
Yeah.
So yeah, you were the 92 team did get in. We were a little bit blind, leading the blind back when the 92 boys got in for one season. But yes, you were the most successful that then went in, and then I think you ended up in D2, right?
Yes.
You finished off in D2. So.
And we destroyed that Arlington league.
Yeah, I remember
100 goals for.
I do remember one time showing up, and I think there was 3 games on a trot where the opposition didn't want to show, so they didn't show. And the one time the opposition did show, it was actually a local club here that we were playing against. I think it was 10 or 11 at half time.
Yeah.
I remember the parent coming over and saying, "Hey man," I was like, "Dude, you're the first team that want to play us." So it was right for us to go, and to be honest, everything that we do now in the club, in the organisation, especially with our PDP, our Player Development Programme, where we've now got teams that are playing in the National Premier League, Red River. We've got teams playing in the Super Y League. We've just actually been talking with the UPSL about having a youth team representing the UPSL. We can put teams in there. So going back to when we were so new as a club. I say new as a club, we were still talking 2007, 8, 9. The club was only 3-4 years old at that point. It's our 50th anniversary this year, so you can do the math right there. So although now the youth section has got so much more that they can do in this area, the pioneers were pretty much you guys with the 94s, the 95s. The 95s were obviously a good team as well, and Coach Hector, the head coach, played on both the 94 team and the 95 team. So he represents them quite well. So everything that's going through my mind right now is circus, circus, circus. So we've got to talk more about this circus. So talk to me more about what they were doing in the circus, what you did in the circus, what your dad did, your uncle. Tell me, because I'm sure there's lots of questions out there right now thinking...
Maybe I shouldn't have brought that up, huh?
Listen, we all want to know something about it. This is one good thing for you. We've got the second documentary coming out this I guess tomorrow, Wednesday. This will be out on the Thursday. So on the Wednesday, we've got, well, the day before, obviously, because this is coming out on the Thursday. The second one, we got one player that he showed us how to dislocate his knee.
Oh, wow.
So we're learning a little bit about different types of players.
Okay.
So we're going to learn about the circus today. So tell the folks out there about the circus.
Well, my father, Victor, he was born in Peru, and my grandfather, he owned a circus. So my dad tells a story. I don't know how true this is, but he says that when his mother gave birth to him, it was underneath the circus tent. And from that moment, they just took off with the circus. They did anything you can think of, they did. Well, it was elephant shows, tigers, horses. But the main thing that they were known for, and the reason why they were brought into the USA, was due to their trapeze act. They had a trapeze troupe, is how you call it.
Okay.
You know, their little crew of trapeze, and because of their show and their acts, they were brought to the USA, and they were one of the pioneers to really bring trapeze into the U.S. circus. When they started the circus, it wasn't really known here in the USA, and their circus was the first one to get started to travel around the states here in the 50 states in the United States, and so they did the trapeze, and it wasn't until my mom was pregnant with me that they decided to, stay local and enroll us into school. So I really didn't get to do much in the circus. Just sometimes in the summer I would go in. I was too young, so all they would make me do was run out in the finales with my clown suit and just wave to the fans that were there.
So I guess one of the questions is, like, I hear elephants, I hear tigers. It's like, where do they keep them?
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, most of the stuff my parents just had to do the acts, so the circus would be the ones to make sure that they kept the animals safe.
So there you have it. An interesting little fact there. Joel comes from a circus background, but not only is he from a circus background, Joel is actually also a co-pastor.
Yes.
So his dad is a pastor. I believe you co-pastor with him, right?
I co-pastor with him, yeah.
So talk to us a little bit. What got you to that point?
Well, when they decided to stay in local in town, they started visiting a church. My father gave his life to Christ and enrolled himself into a university, a Christian university. Graduated as a pastor at Pastoral Ministries, and he began his own church here in Ferris back in 1996. From there on till this day, we've been in the same church, just moved to Red Oak. And around 17 years old, I felt that God was calling me to do the same thing, to become a pastor, and I went to school for the same thing. And back in March 25th of 2017, I was ordained as a co-pastor for my church.
Congratulations! Congratulations! That's a big deal, and very proud of you for doing that.
Thank you.
So he is a pastor. He's been on the circus. He's also a father.
Yes.
He's got a wife. He's got some children.
Yes.
So we really do have a mixture of everything right now. So talk to us a little bit about how we can how you balance now doing this with the importance of having a baby, newborn baby with that as well,
2
and
weeks.
a wife, and co-pastoring, working. So talk to us a little bit about that.
To be honest, I have to give a shout out to my wife. She's very supportive. From the moment that I saw the news break out from Storm, I asked her, I was like, do you think it's too late for me to
She goes, yes, it is. You're past the sell-by dates.
She said, our baby's coming soon. I mean, I don't know if you want to do this. Plus, I have my own business. And she said, how are you going to juggle all these things? I mean, I said, I don't know, but you know how I feel about soccer. And from that moment, she said, do it. Go try out. And I think it really it's just about finding your balance. I mean, I think I saw this thing that kind of stuck with me. So we fly in a plane and we're relaxed, yet we don't know the pilot. Sometimes we go on cruises and we're relaxed and we don't know, the captain. So why live life not relaxed if we know that God's in control? So that's what I try to do with my life. I try to just relax, live it day by day, and try to juggle everything as best I can. I try to make time for my wife, my son, who's 2 weeks old. His name's Lucas Tiago. I set him up for greatness with that name. He better not let me down. But so that's what I try to do. I try to just, give importance to my wife, to my business, especially to my church, and also to this team that I'm very grateful that they give me the opportunity to.
Well, we're glad you're here with us. And another fun fact, one of the old coaches that were here, actually a player from the original Storm in the UK, Brad Smith, his boy is also called Lucas, and we were just talking about that today. So looking through some of the 15-year anniversary, I'm picking out some photographs and some of the old coaches, and of course Brad springs to mind. He was a huge
great guy.
He was one of our youngest captains in the British or the English Storm FC team, so a big player right there. So then he came over here and coached a little bit, so these boys got to know him as well.
Yeah, great guy.
Well, let's go to the team now. So you made the or you came to the tryouts. We've asked this question to a lot of other people. What were you thinking when you got to the tryouts, about the players, about just the whole tryout process?
Definitely was tough for me due to the fact that I had been off from the game for quite some time. So I was a little nervous going into it because I didn't know how well I was going to perform, especially with a bunch of these kids that are still playing at this moment. There's definitely a lot of competition, and I did feel a little rusty at first, but as it went going, the guys, it's like you feed off of their attitude, their skill set, and it helped me settle in and not be timid, and really kind of just, I forgot that I was off for so long once I started playing with these guys, and I enjoyed it. It was a good process, a great turnout of guys, a lot of guys that came in and showed out, and I can say that I was one of the lucky ones that got picked to be in those rosters.
50% got taken away.
Yeah.
So obviously when you first, I think the first one you came to was the Duncanville the first day, right?
Yes.
So what strikes you different about, when you came to the tryout, do you feel it was something that is going to be good for the area, something that you feel might be a fly-by-the-night type deal? What was you thinking when you first turned up and you seen what you seen? What was the first thing that hit you, I guess is the question. What's the first thing that came to you when you turned up to that tryout?
When I first, as I was heading there, I was like, man, I don't know, I kind of feel uneasy. It kind of feels like a little rush. But then when I pulled up and I see all the green shirts, there was at least over 60 green shirts there. I was like, wow, man, this is crazy. This is really taking off. And from the moment that I stepped on the field or onto the pitch, like you say, as soon as I stepped onto it, I said, man, this is it. This is gonna go big, and I've been excited ever since. And my coach Hector knows I've been blowing up his phone every hour of the day.
Yes, he has reminded me about who's blown his phone up. So we've played. So let's move on now. You've obviously made the team. You've been instrumental. Now you didn't make the second game because of the Sunday you're pastoring. How do you feel the game has gone so far? And again, I want to make sure everybody understands. These are preseason games, but really what the coaching staff's looking to do is we're playing 30 minutes on each game.
Yeah.
We're trying, or they're trying, I'm not saying we, I'm there watching, of course, but the coaching staff is trying to get a balance, trying to look at shapes, trying to look at different things. And there's also a lot of, as Hector will tell us later, I'm sure, there's a lot of things that are against us in the real world.
Yeah.
Practice, everybody's working, you just turn around, you've got a kid, you've got your co-pastor, you've got an own business. It's very difficult to try and get everybody on the same page.
Different
so
cities.
I don't think at this, so I even don't think at this point we've had the same team just for the two, and then we've only played a couple of games. Now we've got 3 this weekend, 2 this weekend, 2 minimum I think this weekend anyway. What do you think, I know playing the first game, you felt so far with where we're at the very beginning? And of course, we've only got 25 days until our first game.
I have it marked on my calendar. I mark it every night before bed, counting down the days. But I am going to stress again that the conditions of the pitch were very hard. But despite of that, I was able to see some very good moments of, like you just said, we don't get the opportunity to practice every day. So really this game, I was telling the group of guys to not focus so much on the result, but to focus on trying to find our structure, to find our culture as a club, as a team, our identity. And I believe that despite all the things that were against us on that day due to the fields, different players not being able to make it, you could still see some very, very good moments that it kind of felt that we were a team for some time now, and we haven't really been. And it just makes me so excited to get going and continue getting some more games and playing alongside these guys.
Good. Well, we've got them coming thick and fast now, right around the corner. So what would you say to that aspiring kid in Storm? What would you say to them if they had an ambition to be sitting where you are right now?
I mean, I would tell them first and foremost is you need to have a coachable attitude. You need to be able to accept what your coach is telling you, and second of all, you need to be able to submit. I mean, that goes for a lot of areas in life, but you got to be able to submit to your coach's game plan and believe in it. Once you believe in that, then the desire to work for that game plan, for your coach, for your teammates, it's kind of ignites itself. And I see a lot of youth, and that's one of my main goals. Some players are wanting to use this team as a step stool to get further their career, and that's a marvelous thought or idea, opportunity. But my priority that I could say for myself that I have set out is to really impact the youth, the younger generations that are kind of kickstarting their career. You know, that hopefully that they can see in me a model or an example to follow of work ethic and just continue, because unfortunately, you know, there's that stereotype, you know, you got to be big, you got to be strong, you got to be athletic, and I don't think that's like there's a word you guys say, rubbish.
It's definitely rubbish. It's definitely rubbish.
You just got to have that heart, that passion, and definitely.
Well, out of interest, in the scheme of things, in the 30-man squad, where would you put yourself in terms of height?
Oh, I'd be 30th. And
there you have it, right?
Yeah.
But I think if you were asking majority of the players out there, as far as heart, stability, first to the ball, hard to knock off the ball, I think you'd be around number 1, number 2, number 3, right?
That's what I work for. That's what I strive to be, and I hope that's what each guy on that squad wants to be.
So that was some good stuff there as well. Each week that we do this, I think there's some really good information and some good ideas, and even just thought process that are coming out from the players that are they played here. They're alumni players, so they get what we've been trying to do. And I think really, if I ask you now, you haven't come to the banquet yet. We've got a banquet in 2 months' time. So you'll get to see how many players and families we impact now. But really, from where you were to where you see the club now, and again, you haven't seen as many on the youth side, but what do you see as the biggest difference between when you were with us and what we have now?
I mean, when I remember when I played for Storm, and they would ask me at school, "Who do you play for?" Storm. Who's Storm? Now you don't gotta ask. Now you go to the local Walmart and you see 4, 5, 10 kids walking around with Storm shirts, practice shirts, and you kind of say, "Hey man, I used to play for that club." And it's crazy. I remember our banquets, I think it was 3, 4 teams max.
Well, let's go back to the banquets, because of course, again, I'm pulling out some old photographs of our banquets for the 15th anniversary. So what was your first memory of the first banquet? Where was it first? Where was the first one?
I don't recall the location.
What was it like? Is it swimming or was it a shirt and tie?
It was shirt and tie. Definitely shirt and tie.
So our first 2 were in a swimming pool in Lancaster, right? Pizza, and hopefully it was the worst idea ever, crystal glass, kids, swimming pool, water. Never a good mix, right?
Not a good mix.
And then we moved to Red Oak. So I think the Red Oak Community Centre or Convention Centre, whatever it's called there. Was you that one?
That's the one where I was at.
Yeah, Susan came on board at that point as well with our OO team, and helped us. She booked one of the rooms up, and I was absolutely. It looked massive.
Yeah.
Well, we grew out of that, moved to Midlothian. So where was the last one you went to?
I believe the last one I went to was the Red Oak Municipal Court.
It was the Red Oak?
Yes, sir. And to me, I was just astonished by, at that time we were, like you said, the club was barely starting off, but to see the awards, how professional the banquet itself, for a young kid at that age, it's something that just kind of sticks with you. Like, man, I want to make sure next year at the banquet I get an award,
There you go.
And so it was definitely something that to this day I think of.
Well, you should see it now.
Yeah, can't wait.
So you'll be at the one for for May, so it's a pretty big deal. So anyway, is there anything else you would like to tell the youth here, or a player aspiring to be sitting where you are?
Just work hard. Storm's giving you the steps to take to further your career, and I hope that you guys can come out and watch us play, and I'm hoping that the team and myself can set the example for you guys to push yourself to be where we're at one day.
Now, we didn't get too much information out about asking questions. We didn't do a very good job on that. So we have just put out some information to see if we can get some questions coming back, and see if we can point some stuff towards Joel here. But for me, it has been a blessing to have people like Joel, to have people like Joe Caballero, to have other people from the alumni come in, because I think some of the stuff that they're talking about in these podcasts, and I really didn't know what to expect from the podcasts. I think there's been a lot of comments coming back about what things have been said and what we've been doing. So it's been some really good, and I think some of the youth players will take some really good stuff from it. Now, don't forget, if you want to come and see his parents and the circus group come around, you've got to come and buy a ticket and come and watch Joel play, especially for our first home game, which is going to be April 13th. Now, we are planning to have like a dry run at our new home field, and I will do a little reveal on our home ground, our home stadium, in the next couple of days after this video comes out. So the dry run is going to be around the 26th of March we're aiming for. So we're hoping that all of our players, our youth players, are going to come out and we can go through a dry run. There's not going to be much to it in terms of tickets and stuff, but we really want to make sure that we get to support the team and we get to have a dry run, and the players get to see a little bit more of what happens in those games there. So let's have a look at our Facebook Nation. We do have some first one from Victor Ramirez.
It's my brother.
It's your brother. So, what are your goals and objectives this season, individually and as a team?
Okay, Victor, thank you for your question. My goals individually, as I stated in the beginning, is to really use this as a step stool to impact the local youth, my community, and to get behind Anthony, Coach Hector, and Storm FC's club's vision of helping the younger generations to be that positive impact in their community, and to also strive to continue their growth in their soccer career. And also, obviously, I think this is everyone's goal, is to have a breakout year this first year for us, and continue to get some silverware for this club.
I do like the last bit there. We need some silverware, that's for sure. It'd be great for the first year, just to make playoffs. Just don't get relegated. That's what we're aiming for here. So what have your achievements been to date? So I think that means what achievements, maybe in the Night 4 team, maybe in the college, in the soccer. Let's stick it with soccer.
Okay. Definitely one of my greatest achievements was being able to promote to Classic League. You know, we started, I believe, if I remember correctly, we played 2 years in Arlington when I came on to the 94 teams. And that last year, we just blew away. Mm-hmm. I think we didn't just get promoted, but we also got kind of kicked out of the league because we were just destroying it. So that's definitely one of my greatest achievements in soccer, being able to really know what it is to fight and play for something greater, not just a trophy, but at that time, Classic League was the greatest achievement you can have as a young guy, as a young player, and to be able to say, man, me and my friends, or my friends and I, were able to fight together every weekend, and now we're sitting here playing Classic League. That's probably my greatest achievement in my soccer career.
I like it. Well, that wraps up all the questions that we had from our Facebook Nation and from some text that came in, actually. So I'd like to say thank you to Joel for coming in. It's an absolute pleasure to see him and his friends and the other alumni playing, trying out, and really just connecting the dots for our player development pathway, so that when you get to that senior level and you graduate, even if you're going to college or not going to college, you get to still continue your development within our club, which is what we've been after for a long time. We just had to make sure it was the right fit and the right timing, and making sure that we also put the right amount of work into it. So again, good luck for everything this season. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you here. This has been the third podcast. So from Stormer Sea TV, it's our third podcast, so we're real proud of that. Don't forget to comment below. We want to see some of that chitter chatter that we can then bring back to our podcast. What do you want to listen to? What do you want to hear about? We don't want to see the same things. What do you want to hear from some of the players that are coming in? Do you want to hear more of or see more of the backroom staff when we can do some other things? Maybe we'll do a match of the day after our games and just do a round table. Let us know. You got to comment. Help us to know what you want. So anyway. So the end of our third podcast. Peace out.